Guys, if you want to get in on these trades with us, make sure you join the Discord link in the description. This is a free Discord, a free chat room to discuss with other investors who are like-minded, trying to either day trade, swing trade, or long trade. Either way, we can help each other. I went over the charts on this one, so let's take a look. Alright guys, I'm going to try to walk you through the steps that I take when looking at these. So bear with me. I'm on the computer now. I'm going to try to stream me and the computer. It's the first for me, so stay tuned. Bear with me, guys. Alright, first thing we do is I'm going to pull up the trading view. I use trading view for my charts. You have something similar maybe for scanning, but what I use trading view for is I'm trading for volume in the market. I'm looking for sharp moves in the market. And specifically at the open of the market, that's when the most volatility in the market's going to happen, and that's when I'm looking to make and execute my trades. Now, when I'm doing this, I hit this refresh button here. I have this scan here, 5 different filters on my trading view scan. I have, let's see, I have the average day volume, I want 100,000 shares or more traded, and that's pretty low. I prefer more like 500,000 shares. But there is some of these 100,000 share averages that really just run, and you want to be a part of them sometimes because they have such a small market cap, such a small float that they can run like crazy. But so I keep it at least 100,000 shares traded at an average of the 10-day volume. I like to see it above 50 cents. I don't really like to trade anything below 50 cents. Really, ideally, I prefer it to be over $1. Anything from 50 cents and up is what we're looking for. Volume, I'm looking for at least 13,000 shares traded, and I'll tell you why this is specifically for this scan. But I'm looking for at least 13,000 shares traded and a maximum of 50 million shares traded or higher, or you could set it higher. Change above 1, I want the change above 1. Now again, we're going to do this on a smaller time frame interval. So this is going to show a change for that time frame. So if I'm scanning for a 5-minute time frame and I say that I want it above 1%, it's showing me anything that's above 1% in that 5-minute time frame. It may not be up on the day on percentage, but it's up in that 5 minutes that I'm scanning, and that's what I'm looking for. So change is above 1. Market cap, I look for something between 50 million to 2 billion, and you can adjust this to your liking. This right here is a small cap scanner, and this is how I found Vtvt. Now, if we get off of this and we take a look now, right now this is during the day, so this is 11:03 Eastern time. I'm in North Carolina myself, so I'm on the New York time zone. So this is right now. This is 11:03 a.m. on the Eastern time zone during the market hours. So what I'm scanning now, when I scan this, it's showing me I'm looking at a 1-minute scan. And this, you can look at a 5-minute scan and it will show you something completely different. We have 16 matches on this scan on these filters. If we're looking at a 1-minute scan, this is something that's extremely short time span. So these are going to be sharp moves, whether it be up, down, it doesn't matter. What I'm looking at specifically is I'm looking at the volume relative to the average day volume. So if we see that right here, this SLGG just came up, has 101,000 shares traded in the last 1-minute candle. So in the last 1 minute, it's had 101,000 shares traded, and that seems like a lot, but that's versus its 2 million shares traded average daily. So we'll take a look at this one. We'll look at this, and it looks like on the 1-minute chart, this thing is right now, these bars here, and let me pull up the chart itself and get these indicators off and close these down for now. And you don't have to use these indicators, these are all different things. I'll go over this in the end of the video, but if we just scanned this, we saw that there's 100,000 shares being traded in SLGG in the past minute. So this is basically telling us something's happening right now. Now, it doesn't mean that it's going to continue, but it means that it's something to look at, something to catch our eye. So when we're looking at this and we're looking at the bottom down here, these are the volume bars. If we're looking at the shares traded over here on the side, you can click this on the side here and it will show you the average. This has 691,000 shares traded today. Its average is 2 million, so it's not a lot yet, but it is making a move currently right now. So again, something to keep an eye on. And this may fall back down. I'm not sure if there's news on this or not, and which news is really what you want. You want this paired with news is really going to work in your favor. This is price action, volume, news catalyst, and that's how you day trade, in my opinion. That's what's worked for me, and it might work for someone else as well. Now this thing again is starting to fall down a little bit, and so, but the point I'm trying to make is on this scanner here, we just have that. We can keep hitting the refresh, and you can set this to refresh every 10 seconds, refresh every minute. I usually will keep it on 10 seconds or a minute. That way it constantly refreshes for me. You can set alerts so that it will actually send you an alert. I think that's right here. You can send an alert to your phone. If you do something like that, it'll tell you when something like this comes up on your scanner, and you can take a look at it. But again, it's not so much what comes up on the scanner, it's more so the volume opposed to the average volume, or the average 10-day volume is something that I look for. And then to combine that with news, if you can find news with that, then that's something that's something that you really, that's where I want to play. That's a little bit more less risky. So we'll scan again, and now looking at the 1 minute we have here, we have 73,000 shares traded on stock that usually has 398,000 shares traded. So we'll take a look at this one. And on the day, and this is important to look on the total day, because maybe it had a lot of shares traded that minute, but maybe it didn't have a lot of shares, or it's not having a lot of shares traded on the full day. And again, I really would like to see this number here be closer to 500,000 shares traded, but right now it's at 145. So yes, it has a huge candle on the minute chart that we're looking at here, and that's nice to look at, but it's not something that's going to get me just jumping into the trade. A few other factors have to be in line as well. So we'll take a look at this next one here. Time, 16,000 shares traded out of its 1 million, or 1.8 million. It's not really a lot in my opinion. And we have Vtvt, which I do like this company. It's sitting right now, this purple line that you see here is the EMA line, and it's currently sitting just above it, and it would have to really close above it and sit above it to really be something worth it. If you see over here, it closed above it, ended around here, but then it just couldn't hold it, and it just dropped from there. So you knew here it was a bad signal that it probably was going to fall below the EMA. But again, these are indicators. They don't always follow this, so not something to keep in mind. AESE right now has 111,000 shares traded, and again, SLGG. Usually, I mean, I like to see the one with the most volume because usually that's something. The RSI, as you see here, I'm limiting towards RSI. In other words, RSI is overbought, oversold. Anything over 60 is overbought. Anything under 40 is oversold. But on looking at I'm looking at the RSI on a 1 minute chart. So a 1 minute chart is extremely, if you're seeing it maybe 90 RSI on a 1 minute chart, sure, it's telling you it's overbought. But if you compare it to a wider time frame, like the 5 minute, 15 minute, 30 minute, maybe those haven't made that shift yet, and the 1 minute is basically giving you the signal that there's something happening here. Maybe you should look into it, and maybe this could be where you want to make a trade. Because volume, I mean, trend is your friend. You don't want to go against it, and you want volume on your side. It's the only way you're going to get in and out of these trades. Now, a little red flag on SLGG for me would be that the volume's starting to kind of die out here. But we had a little bit of seller's volume before this buying volume here, and we are now seeing more buying volume. I'm on a 1 minute candle, and we have about 12 seconds, 10 seconds left of the candle. And right now we're seeing some rejection on the upper side right now, but we're not seeing it come down very low. So there's not a lot of sellers involved. So this is intriguing. This is something that I would keep an eye on. So this is how I found my scan. So these, again, I'll go over these here. The filters I have on my trading view are at least 100,000 traded, 100,000 shares traded on an average volume of 10 days. So this is over a 10-day span. It has at least 100,000 shares traded every day. That's something I look for. Again, I prefer it closer to 500,000 shares. The last, I keep mine above 50 cents. You can do whatever you prefer or what you can afford to purchase. Volume, I like to see 13,000. Now again, now that we're on a 1 minute search or a 5 minute search, when we're looking at a 1 minute or 5 minute search, this is crucial. The 13,000 shares, I'm looking for something that in the past 1 minute had at least 13,000 shares. That's not a lot, but it could be a lot in compared to if it has 13,000 shares traded in the last minute, and it only usually has, say, 50,000 shares traded that day. Now, I wouldn't usually jump in that because it's so low volume, but some of those plays like that can really run up and really make you a lot of money, especially like I said, if it's a small cap with a small float, then it's something that you could really get into position and just fly. But again, you want trend as your friend, volume is your friend, so keep that in mind. So we want 13,000 shares traded in the past minute at least, and change, we want it above 1%. We want to see things that are changing up in the past 1 minute, 5 minute, whatever it may be. The market capitalization, we want at least, I like to see something, I like small cap myself because the small cap seems to run up and down really fast, and I can get in and out of my trades really fast, especially if the volume's there to support it. But right now I'm looking at the 2 billion cap max, so that's small cap and below, I believe. It's pretty small. So that's all I have for my filters. Again, you can just sit here, scan it. Sometimes I do. 63,000 shares traded in the last minute, 215,000 shares traded every day in the last 10 days. Take a look at this one, and again, huge candle. I mean, this thing is just being bought up. We do have relative volume would be ×2 because the relative volume is 200,000 per day, and we're already double that. We're sitting at over 400,000 shares traded today. So this is something to look for. Now, when looking at Vtvt, this is the trade that I took today, and I got in and out fairly quick. They had good news this morning. I believe they had some FDA breakthrough news, and I'll try to put that up on the screen. But what it was is more so, it had the good news, so it had one check mark for me. It had the volume was coming in. It had the average volume, as you can see here. The average volume is 1.2 million shares traded. In the pre-market, I believe we already surpassed that in the pre-market. So the volume was there. There was a lot of volume, and I knew that because there was so much volume in the pre-market that there would be a lot of profit taking, which is just understandable. And regardless of how great the news is, people have to get their money and get out, and that's exactly what I did. When day traders, we're just trying to get in and out. So as soon as the bell rung, we got in, we got out, and that's how it worked. Now, if we're looking at this thing, let's see. I'm looking at a 1 minute chart, and this is for the entire day of Vtvt. So Vtvt, you see it came down here, and this is where we got into it actually. Let me see, can we zoom in and pull it over here a little bit. So this was opening bell. You see down here it was 9:30. So this is when the opening bell happened. This is where I started looking at it. This is where I kind of looked at it and made my idea of where I might see it. Now you come in here and you mark levels of support and resistance, but you do that on a day chart. So I knew that there was a news catalyst, and I knew that this had a lot of volume. So how do you know where to take profit, if this is a great trade for you or not? This is what I do personally. I take you to the day chart. I was taking a look at this, and let me reset the chart here. If you go over here, and I'll zoom in. If you go over here and you see what was happening, this thing was flying up. And again, I was looking at it more around the $3 range. So we were looking at right around this area here. So what happened was, I knew when it pulled back, because it pulled back at the open market, and this is the day candle, and the day candle shows you up here, if you notice. On the day candle, we hit a low of 277. So when it opened, it hit a low of 277. And then that's where I kind of thought, well, let me think, if I could get this around here. I mean, this was 277, was right around here. So it was towards a close, and I'm looking at daily candles. So this was towards a close from a previous day after such great news. And I knew that this was powerful news, so there was no reason for this to be like this. Again, it was just people taking profits. It makes perfect sense. I do the same thing. So they took their profits and got out. Well, that's where I entered my trade, and that's where I got in, because what I saw here was I started scanning on my scanner that I showed you earlier, and I saw that there was a lot of volume rushing in. Now, there is always there's an opening bell, there's a lot of volume rushing in on a lot of stocks. The thing that was different about this one in particular, and again, I'm looking at the 1 minute, is if you look over here, what happened was the volume started to increase. It wasn't decreasing, and we saw that the green candles and the green bars down here started to really take over. And so in that sense, we saw that there was buying power here, there was support, and that the volume was coming in. And now I got into this thing, I think it was around 6 million shares traded on the day, and it has an average volume of the 1 million. Right now we're sitting at 92 million shares. When I was sitting at the 6 million shares, I was watching the volume just flood in. I could see this number go up to 6.5 million, 7 million, 7.5. So it was easy for me to then say, okay, well, let me try to make a position here and start my position. And what helped me make my position is I actually used the EMA and the EMA as a confirmation. This 9 EMA here, this purple line, and you can see it here. And if you don't have this on your chart, you can come up to the indicators here and you can type in EMA at the top, and then you can go ahead and moving average right there. So once you add that, it adds the EMA 9 right here, and that's what we're looking at. So I use this to help me. Now I don't use indicators to really do a whole lot except for confirm a trend for me. In this case, the volume was trending, the catalyst, the news catalyst was there, and then in this case, the EMA was working as a support. So every time the candle would expand away from that EMA, it would drop back down to that EMA. It would be bought around that level and spring back up. And so I was noticing this. So this is why, with this in conjunction with everything else that we saw, this is why I entered my trade. This is where I entered, and I entered right around 280, I believe. It was around 280, and I ended up exiting my trade, and I exited my trade early. Now, you can ride it, you can watch this EMA, and you can say, okay, when it breaks, that's when I'm going to get out. Well, it was where it broke here, that's where I exited my trade. Now, it wasn't a full candle. You're going to look for a solid candle breaking down. But, you know, with the market being so choppy lately, and to be honest, there's been a lot of times where I've had to take losses where I thought it was going to go one way and it didn't, and it fell back the other way, and I had to get out and stop out of my trades soon. That's been happening more so than not because the average volume in the market as a whole is just lacking. So a lot of the news catalysts that used to hold value and used to hold a stock up is actually dropping it down now. It's actually just it springs up, people take their profits, and before you know it, it could be great news and it could be sitting up top, and before you know it, that thing drops below where it opened with the good news. So keep that in mind. So where I ended up stopping out here, I ended up getting out around $3. So I wrote it up there, and for me it was just a small percentage. It was a scalp. I ended up making maybe 5%, 5 to 10% tops on that trade. So it wasn't anything great. I know a lot of people say, oh, well, you know, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you write it out? I get that, but for me it worked out, and, you know, and to each their own, whatever works for you, you know, I wish you the best. I would love for this thing to continue running. If anyone was in it, just keep running until it goes up, and it wouldn't really bother me because I made my quota for the day. That's what's important to me, that I hit my goal. You know, it wasn't trade alerts or anything. This is just something that you have to see everything. It has to all come together as a whole, and it did in this situation. And you know, and it went my way, and I made my money. I got out, and I could have wrote it up. You see this thing, it hit all the way up to a highs of, I believe, 358. Let me see if I hit the day and reset the chart again. We're sitting at 345. I'm sorry, I know we're sitting at 345. We hit a high of 358. So we hit a high of 358 on the day, which is amazing. And I sold out around that $3 range. So again, I made maybe 5 to 10% tops on me. I could have made a whole lot more, and you know, and I wish I would have, but I also am very happy with what I did. You know, I live to trade another day. I keep my head above water, and then tomorrow, you know, tomorrow's another day. Maybe I can find something else. And if you have a smaller account where you can't do as many day trades, you know, you don't maintain that $25,000 in your account, then, you know, you could use these trades in practice just once a week, maybe, or twice a week. Try to look for these and stuff. You don't have to. It's not like these happen all the time. This one, again, it worked out. They had the news catalyst combined with the volume, and it just worked out. Looking at that 1 minute chart, this is the open down here. We saw right here. You see these volume bars at the bottom. They just picked up this volume bar right here, and just right here when it surpassed the EMA, it came back down, and that's where I was. You could just see it on there when you were watching the 1 minute candles, and that's what I was doing. And you could see this thing just continue to be bought and bought, and that's what was important to me. And then, I mean, you can use other indicators. You know, I do sometimes use the RSI or the MACD to see trends, but a lot of times I use these indicators more so to exit my trade rather than enter my trade. Again, most important thing for entering a trade is going to be volume. I need that volume. I need the candles to be going up. I need the relative volume compared to what it normally is to be extremely high or to be growing. And I need a catalyst. I need something to support that. It can't just be, for me, I mean, there's a lot of times that a stock will fly up 300% and there's no news on it, and I don't get to play on that one, and I wish I had. But the truth about it is I'm trying to, not risk anything. I'm trying not to risk as much as I can. I'm trying to really focus on risk to reward and not so much, trades that don't suit my trade strategy. So do what's best for you. But if you would have followed this, again, the RSI, on that level where it broke the EMA here, we had the candles start to fill in. So on that next candle, and this is a 1 minute candle. So, I was watching a 1 minute candle. You could have taken to a 5 minute candle and you would have seen a different story. You would have seen this thing touch the EMA again and again and again. And it was good. And it wasn't until it crossed here where it was really telling you to get out. So again, this comes with experience. Maybe I should have stayed in it. But for me, again, I made my money. I'm done. I get to make this video for you guys, explain how I made my trade. I get to go spend time with my family and enjoy my day, and I hope you do the same. So that's really what happened there. I used that scanner on TradingView. There was a news catalyst this morning. I combined that with the volume on the 1 minute candles, and I really focus again on this number and this number here. The average volume is 8 million shares traded per day. We're already at 96 million shares traded. Now, don't be surprised if this thing just crashes down or springs up. But really, you could see this thing get crashed down, because if you're looking on the day chart and we're looking at the indicators to tell us when to exit our trades, this thing is just powered up. And if you look at the resistance, and when you're looking, and I'm sorry if I didn't go over this earlier, but when you're looking at your trade, to find where to take profits and where to exit, the reason I exited at the $3 is because I saw right in this area, if you see this line that's cursor, and I can put a trend line on it for you, right around here, I would say 307. I figured, I marked this on a day chart. Let me click on this here. When I marked this on a day chart, this to me is the resistance. Now, these are day candles, so these, I could get stuck in my trade and have to hold this for days if I'm really looking at this as a true resistance. But I figured if we got the volume and the news was good enough, then it could really propel this up. And then I figured, where can I look to take my profits? On the day chart, for me, it just made sense around that 307, $3 range. I figured that was a little bit of resistance and would then have to break through that to the next level. And then the next level of support or resistance would probably be around that 335 range. And again, you're starting to see a lot of resistance there. Now, this may grow over the next month. This may grow over the next year. I don't know. I'm not worried about that. I'm a day trader. A lot of times right now in this choppy market, I'm looking to scalp my trades. I got in and out, got my percentage, made my money, and I get to go spend time with my family. So, but I use the day chart to mark my resistance lines and mark my support lines to see where I am basically going to take profits or take money, or where I'm going to start biting my nails and think, okay, it's time to get out. Sometimes I stop an active stop loss on these things, and sometimes I just have the time. Like today, I had the time to sit here and watch it. And so if I have the time to sit here and watch it, then I will. But guys, if you want to get in on market moving news that I see, as soon as I see it, I try to post it as fast as I can. I do have a Discord here. If you guys want to join into this Discord, I'll put the link in the description if it lets me. If not, follow me on Instagram. I'm Buy Low Trades. I'm Larry. I'm Buy Low Trades on Instagram. Also on Discord, it's Buy Low Trades. But I will put the Discord link in the thing below. And guys, hit that like button if you haven't already. Show me some support. I'm getting used to this whole video taking thing. Been trading for a while, and I hope to help you guys make some trades. We made a good trade this morning, and it worked out in our favor. So hopefully we can get another one tomorrow. But I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.